to the online community and YouTube page. I'm really excited today for us to talk with Metztli, who's going to be sharing a little bit about traditional Mexican medicine, specifically working with pregnancy and postpartum. So welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Metztli, and I'm a traditional Mexican medicine practitioner. And within this wide range of practitioners in traditional Mexican medicine, I'm a Sobadora. So, and I provide services mainly to women and babies. And yeah, so this is kind of a very specific type of healing, we will say healing art, that it comes from indigenous roots in Mexico. And then it has been passed through generations and generations. And that's the way that I learned too. And now I'm providing that here and working with all this community in San Diego and online too. So in other parts of United States and the world.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I am first gen. I consider myself Chicana. My mom was born in Mexico and I was born here, but I feel like there's so many ways that I forget just how like beautiful my roots are and just like all the different healing arts. And I think I went to Indigimama's postpartum summit and I learned so much about rebosos and like cuarentena and traditional Mexican medicine. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to learn more. So when I came across your page, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. So can you actually just share more about like what traditional Mexican medicine looks like and maybe even like your origin story with it? Like how did you learn so much about it?
Sure. So I'm from Veracruz, which is the southeast of Mexico in the Gulf. I'm from the capital city. The indigenous name of my city is Jayapan. Now it's called Jalapa. And then this is a Nahuatl Totonaca area. So those are my roots. And then I came to United States 10 years ago, but before that I used to live in Mexico. So I born and raised Mexican, and you can tell by my accent. And then while I was living there, at least in my state and very close to my hometown, there are a bunch of healers. Traditional Mexican medicine is very rooted, so it's something very common. It's not like something that you go and is kind of exotic. No, it's actually like very, very normal. So it's very different from here or other, I will say, cities or states in Mexico. And this is because we have still a lot of indigenous people in my state. So what happened is that while I decided what I wanted to do, I wanted as a career for my life. I wanted to be a midwife, but at that time, and I'm talking about 2000, yeah, in the 2001. What happened was that there was not schools for midwifery in Mexico. Now there are a bunch, but at that time there were just one that it was in a different state, and I had to travel like 8 hours and live there and all of that. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I became a mother very young. I was a teen mom, so that means that I will have to leave my son. And for me, motherhood has been everything. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I want to be with my baby. So what I decide is to start learning from traditional midwives. So instead of going to school, that it will be more like all this medical thing, a little bit with a little bit of midwifery. I decided that it was better for me just to learn directly from those midwives that they didn't go to school, neither that they learned from their mothers-in-laws, their grandmothers. So, and they were, open to teach me. So basically that's what I did. So during many years, I started learning to be a midwife. So I'm a trained as a traditional midwife. And then And while I was doing there, I also started going to, to college. So just to have like a paper that will say that to prove in the other world that I was doing something too. So, but yeah, so basically I have like these two backgrounds. I have an academic background. I'm a social anthropologist. I have a master's degree in social anthropology, but I also have all the training as a traditional midwife. So then when I came to United States, I couldn't practice as a midwife because here you need a license and go to school and, a ton of things. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that because it's very medicalized, at least the way that I see midwifery here in United States and here in California specifically, you need a bunch of licenses and things like that. So I was like, that will kind of get me away from what I learned and what I really want to do. So then I decided just to focus on everything that midwives do in that I learned, except supporting births as a midwife. So basically what I do is what a traditional midwife will do in my state. And then, although I can, and I feel totally confident to support births, again, I'm not doing that, but I can support women during pregnancy. I can support them as during childbirth as a doula. I'm not doing that anymore neither because when I came here, I have my children, little kids too. So now I, move totally just to have a set schedule. So what I do is I support during pregnancy and postpartum. And I know a lot about everything about women's health. So, and this is based on traditional Mexican medicine, which in our understanding, we are not just a body, we're not just bones and flesh and labs and, like all of these blood testing and things like that. We really are have a big component, which is the spiritual one. So in traditional Mexican medicine, this is essential to heal anything. We need to understand the spirit to basically heal the body. So it's a whole different approach from Western medicine. And then, and that's the medicine that I practice, and that's the way that I learned it. So I basically, at that time also, there was not school for become a traditional Mexican medicine practitioner or anything like that. Again, it's something that it was, it has survived centuries, generations over generations. It's information that goes from, we say from mouth to ear and to your heart too. So then we're processing all of this information. They're not really, again, like a school for it. But it's very, it has been proved to work. It doesn't have side effects as a lot of drugs and things like that of Western medicine. And it's really healing. It really goes to not only, again, the body, but to really understand our essence as humans and our soul and spirit. And many of our disease in our medicine, it comes from there. So that now, Western medicine has explained through somatic work or through other therapies that has been, developed through the years, that Western medicine has catching up with understanding how our bodies react and then how we can be susceptible to environments and, things like that. So that's the reason why traditional Mexican medicine is also so focused on nature and our relationship with nature. And we use nature to heal ourselves. We can use from the sun, something like coming outside to take the sun, that now science have explained that it gives you vitamin D, and what vitamin D means, as essential vitamin to basically, put your levels of to help you with your brain functions and to regulate your hormones and all of these that our people knew, but explaining in different words. So they were some worshipers, so they were like all the time really understanding the importance of the sun as a source of energy and life. And it is, because actually we need it for these essential vitamins. So there is it's different words to explain most likely a little bit of the same things, but in our way we explain it again in a spiritual way. So that is more or less traditional Mexican medicine and the medicine that I practice.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that it's such a good point. I feel like sometimes in the States here, it's like we need all these licenses and all these degrees. And sometimes it's like the pieces of paper feel more important than like the actual like wisdom from like generations and from what we know and the experience. So I'm happy that you were able to find a way to like do what you love to do without feeling like you had to chase down all these other pieces of paper, right? You're like, no, like I know I can help people and I know how, and like where I came from, like we do this in this way, and being able to create a practice with that. I think that's awesome. That's super cool. And that's true. I feel like now in psychology, right? There's just so much more work around like the mind body connection and like the vagus nerve and all these other things. And it's like other countries and cultures are probably looking at us like, duh, like we've been doing this for centuries, you know? So,
Yeah.
but I guess we're slowly catching up. And I think that the work that you do also helps people consider different ways of healing. So that's awesome.
Right.
So what would you say are like some of the main reasons that people come to you in pregnancy and postpartum, and how do you support them?
So during pregnancy, I usually do this body work that we call sobada. The translation in English will be like rubbing, but for us, it's more than that. It's just, again, it's a very specific technique where we work in very specific points of the body. So it can look like a massage, but again, it's also not a massage because during all this process, we are reading the body and we are basically also praying. So there is like this spiritual component in it that when you go to a massage, I think that doesn't exist at all. And I have gone to a lot of massages because I love that too. That's part of my self-care. And then, but it's just, it's very different than going to a sobada. So during pregnancy, I provide this kind of support for pregnant women, basically to help body balancing, and then to help help the baby to get in a good position. So sometimes for the way that our organs are, they kind of organize while we get pregnant, or for exercises or movements, or because we're too much sitting, things like that. The belly and our babies, they tend to get maybe breach, or they get like in certain positions that are not optimal for during delivery. So we kind of help I help women during pregnancy to adjust their body so they feel less discomfort, but also this helps to kind of help the baby to get in a good position too. So there is a little bit of belly manipulation right there, just to help with the tissue and everything to get more relaxed. And then hopefully when there's time of delivery, these babies in the position that is the optimal for delivery. So I do this with my hands, and I also use rebosos. So then this is part of, Mexicans, we have used rebosos as part of our practices as like basically 500 years. So to work with the body and an extension of our arms, and to wrap ourselves, and to wrap our babies, and to carry babies, and to they have so many uses. It's so versatile, the rebozo. So we use it also as a tool, and I use these during pregnancy too. And then so they come for that. So it's like one appointment a month, like every starting week 16, and then till they have their babies. And then during postpartum, I offer this that it has been called here postpartum sealing ceremony. In where I come from, we call it baño postparto. So it's just like that. And there's it's a herbal bath. We use different plants. All these plants, we understand they have energies, and they help for a healing during postpartum, because they have qualities that are warm, to bring warmness in the body, because in our perspective, delivery is a cold event. So we need to bring heat again in the body of this woman, so then she's going to be balanced. And then we are going to avoid things as postpartum depression, low production of breast milk. She's going to feel also kind of more centered, so her thoughts are going to be more clear too. And so it has a lot of benefits in our perspective in this medicine. So I provide this service at home, so I can go to my client's home to give this service. or sometimes they come to my office, and in my office, I don't do the postpartum bath, but I do everything else that includes this postpartum bath, which is not only the herbal bath, but also is the manipulation of the abdominal area, just to help the uterus to get in the correct position, the intestines, like everything. And then we do this binding, we call it the venda, we use like a venda or the binding, just to wrap everything. And then we close the bones with rebozo. So we use anything from 1 to 7 rebozos to close in different parts of the body. And then what we do is kind of, we help with this kind of we will say like a hug of the rebozo. We use it just to move bones and tissue and help women to feel more again, like more center, just because pregnancy is an opening. It's a window that when we're calling this spirit of this baby to come earthside, so we need to help to close that. So that's the reason why we're closing too. And then and this can be done for, even right now, if it's cesarean, it doesn't matter that it was not a vaginal delivery. And we usually do this during this period that we call la cuarentena, which is the first 40 days after having a baby. So we try to, traditionally the midwife will go to your house and we'll do this at day 2 or 3. Here I usually try to wait like 5 days, because unfortunately women here in the United States, they have less support. They have babies at hospital, and then they have to return to home and just kind of organize everything. So it just, that time, it's a little bit more busy during the first days. So I try to give a little bit more space to settle at home and kind of organize with baby and everything. And then I can go after day 5. But again, traditionally, a midwife in Mexico will go to your house to day 2 or 3 to do this. So and then it can be done also at any time. If it didn't happen during the first 40 days, it can be 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 10 years. It doesn't matter. It really always will bring benefits, although the movement and the benefits are going to be different. That, a mom that she just had her baby than a woman that had a baby 10 years ago. Tissue bones are already hard, we will say, or stiff. So we need to do a little bit more of manipulation, and then making sure that, whatever she needs to close, it's get closed, but there is always benefit from it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, yeah, I feel like sometimes here in the States, and that's my experience, I can't speak on other countries, but it does feel like birth is such a big event. Like pregnancy and birth is such a big event. And then it's like we're in the hospital and then we go home and it's like, okay, bye. And it's like, what about like now my organs have to go into place. Now my whole life has changed, and it can be a little isolating, right? So to even have like a warm embrace of a bath or a sobada, like that just seems like that's what we need to be giving everybody. Like everybody should have access to this postpartum, right? It's like a ritual. We don't have many rituals here, at least not that I've noticed. So I think that's why I was like, let's let people know what else they can do for sure to support the mom. And the
Yes,
parents.
absolutely. And I will say that, this is, again, this is a tradition that comes from indigenous people in Mexico, and it has been widespread in all Mexico. Now it's getting a little bit lost, but everybody knows about the cuarentena, but not all women, they receive this. But this is open to everybody. I have to say that I have women of that they have come, they have asked me to go to their houses, even when they're not Mexicans, because they really feel they need this. And this, again, this is because this process is human, right? So we need this. And around the world, they have always have been like rituals, all of these taking care of the mother after having a baby. And usually this has been done by other women. So that's the reason why also this is, one of the things that are key in the work that I do. Because for me, it's not only about go and do something mechanical and technical and, just do all of this. For me, it's really talking with other women about what is to be a mother and what is to, having children, and this is a talk that traditionally in many countries and, non-Western places is other women who help you to transition to this, to this new role. So you're going to have the support of your mother, your aunt, your older sister, all of these women that they have all this knowledge because they already experience it. So then they can give you advice and they can tell you. So right now it's basically in books and taking classes and all of this. You saw this, so like out of what it was. And for me, that's the reason what is, it also brings a whole different component because there is this prayer, there is all of this, but there is also this talking with them. I'm a mother, also a mother of 3 children. I became a mom very young, and I also had this talk from my own a family when I had my first baby in Mexico, and from these women that were taking care of me when when I learned all about becoming a mother and taking care of another child or a child. It was always like this, talking of woman to woman about what it means to be a mother. And I think those are essential, because we need guidance. And then again, babies, they don't come with instructions or anything, and you really need to learn how to do it. Although it's natural having a baby and breastfeeding a baby, that doesn't mean that naturally you're going to know how to put your baby here and what's going to happen with your breast and if it's the correct position. You need other women that will come here to tell you, this is the right position, you need to eat this is going to help to, your milk flow, all of these things that, again, it was part of this women knowledge. And that now big part of my responsibility in this country and as a part of my life as a professional in the work that I do is teaching other women about this, about what is to be a woman, what is to be a mother, and what are the things that we need to do to take care of ourselves as women, having these amazing, beautiful bodies that we have. So that is kind of my really, in all of this, that's really what moves me to do this work in this country and to continue, spreading the word about this beautiful medicine that it has so much wisdom and is so ancient, and that we have this responsibility again to continue, passing on so other people can get benefit from it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that like in all that you're saying, I'm like, yeah, we need everybody to embrace this mentality and this like obligation kind of, right? Like, okay, now I'm going to go support other new mothers because that's the only way that we're not going to feel isolated in this huge transition. And I think that in many countries that are fueled by like capitalism and productivity and individualism, it's like, I'm going to figure it all out and I can do it. And then it's like also hard to ask for help. So you're like, I don't know how, but I never knew how to ask for help. And you do feel kind of like, oh, it's my responsibility as a mom to make sure I know everything. And it's like, that's impossible because it's such a learning curve, like, oh, how do I do this? And then like, not just physically, like, how do I latch, but also emotionally, like, how do I handle all these responsibilities? And like, who am I? And having somebody else who's been there is so validating and so healing. So I'm a big proponent of like, wherever people can get support, like you don't have to see a therapist necessarily or a doula or lactation, just see somebody during your pregnancy or postpartum that's going to be able to support you. So I love that like you're able to kind of provide them with like a little bit of everything, like here's this for your body and your spirit, and like just from a mom to another mom, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the talk.
Yeah, I love that. And I guess just to kind of wrap up, so if anybody wanted to be in contact with you and your services, how can they reach you?
So definitely my Instagram is the best way. So my Instagram is Luna Mama underscore services, and then or also through my website, which is www.lunamama.net. And then so I think those will be like the best ways to contact me. I again service people here in San Diego. I have traveled too. I mean, one time I was just, remembering that someone asked me to go to Ventura, and I went all the way to Ventura to, like for a postpartum session. And, people are just, trying to have this service. So I just try to go. I have also these virtual appointments, which are very, they can be anywhere. And then we can talk about, a lot of people, for example, I have had clients that they're in England or, different parts of Europe. They're Mexicans. They want to connect with their roots. They didn't get this knowledge. So they want to know how can I live like a quarantena? How can I take care of my pregnancy, as a Mexican, and all of these, because they're just so then we talk a lot about that too, so that could look also a virtual consultation. I also work a lot with women that trying to get pregnant. So fertility is a big thing also, and then or that they have menstrual problems. So also we can talk about that, about all the components, the spiritual, the physical, all the change of habits, diets, supplements, things like that they can take based on this medicine. And then so that also can look like a virtual appointment. And again, I'm teaching a lot. That also I like to teach everywhere. So wherever they invite me, I just try to go. And also because I teach in other places, and I teach specifically women that they're trying also to start their own journey as a practitioners of this medicine. I also have students that they have been with me for a couple of years, and then or learning from me, and I am able to refer them to. So I also want to say that, I think like it's not about just everything me. It's also about all these connections and networks and all of these really planting these seeds that they're gonna grow as beautiful flowers, spreading all of these medicines. So I also can refer to other, maybe someone needs this kind of support in Texas, and I have students in Texas, so they can say, I mean, not everywhere, but sometimes. So, and I also am very happy to, other women are wanted to learn these, and that they're committed to this, because that's part of my little school. So I also have my little school, and then and I do, this by myself. I have again my children. My priority is my family, and I do it when I have time, which is, this balance of life. And but I do it from my heart, and yeah, so hopefully, more people will be interested in getting this type of care. And again, they can contact me, and maybe I can refer them to someone else. So I'm more than happy to do that too.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like just talking to you, I'm like, okay, in the future, I'm gonna learn how to do this, because I know that my mom does sobadas, and I remember growing up, she's in the sala with somebody, talking to them, rolling around. And I'm like, I thought it was, like she just massaging, but the way that you explain it, yeah, it's way deeper than that. It's like spiritual and healing,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yes, it
Maybe
is. Yeah, if
one
you
day.
can learn, do it. It's just so beautiful. And again, it's like, we need to start breaking these barriers that that this knowledge or everything is about, like, going just to college or just validate this Western way that they have taught us. Like there is like indigenous science, there is indigenous medicine, and then we come from a whole different perspective. And that doesn't mean is wrong or bad. It's just is different. And there's so many ways to understand this world, and there's so many ways to understand our bodies. It's just huge. Like Western medicine is just one. So we really need to start opening our horizons and really understanding that we have been basically educated just to believe something, but that doesn't mean that's the reality and the only thing that exists. Like the reality, and it's, it can be diverse because we are diverse. and we come from different backgrounds. So all of them, there are, you know, different approaches, and I think they have their own validation too. So just open ourselves to this is also part of growing, and to understand that you know, we need to use what best fits for us. And this is one more.
Yeah, exactly. Adding a tool to the tool belt, and 100%, there's no one right way. And I think sometimes you can get convinced like this is the right way, and it's like, no, that's like scarcity speaking, right? And it's like, no, actually, there's many different right ways, just depending on who you are.
Exactly.
So awesome. Well, I really appreciate you spending some time and sharing all this like wisdom with us. I'm personally really excited because I know that I'm gonna say her name wrong, Pankitsani, yeah, released her Thriving Postpartum and book, and we're gonna be starting a book club about it. So I'm like so excited to learn more. But I think on top of that, like just having you as a resource, I know like you mentioned you do workshops and you do like different sessions, informational. So make sure that you check out her Instagram, Luna Mama _ services. We'll definitely stay posted, and maybe you'll see me in a class one of these days.
Yay, that would be wonderful. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And again, I'm you know, if there anybody has any questions, please reach out. And then yeah, hopefully we can work together, you know, in the future and do, you know, more things too. So I'm definitely open for that. And or again, to anybody that is listening, just to go to other places, things like that. I just love, and again, continue spreading the word. And I have like this kind of thing that I'm like I like more in person than virtual, and that I know it makes very hard for, you know, like when you do things virtual is like you reach out so many people. But again, for me, this is not just, it's not a business. It's really a commitment in a different way. And it's very different when someone meets me and feels my energy, because then they can really understand what I'm talking about. And this is something that you cannot never go on virtual. It's just in existence. So we really, this is indigenous medicine, and it just goes beyond. I mean, it's just so deep. And again, you know, hopefully, you know, more people will be interested in, you know, taking the time to sit and listen, and to be in person, and to return to those ways that are the original ways. And that will bring so much healing. And just, you know, I'm very traditional in those ways too. So
yeah. I love just hearing you talk about it. I feel like you can hear you talk about it all day long, but your passion and your fire is clear. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm sure this won't be the only time we talk. I might have to go visit you one of these days too.
thank you.
So
Thank you,
thank
of course.
you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.